All right, here we go. Our last letter is the letter H. Now, before we start, I'm going to give you the word that you need for this section. So for your 14-word phrase, your next word is alone. Go ahead and write that in line and then push that off to the side, and let's dive into what the letter H stands for. An admonish mentor, H, is healthy. Now, this could mean healthy both physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Each morning, we would like you to get in the habit of evaluating how you are doing that day. And if you're like me, every day is different. If the day before I had lots of stress, there was lots of chaos in my home, and I didn't get a really good night's sleep, then I might wake up feeling really physically tired and emotionally drained. Or maybe you have a lot of stress going on. Maybe your husband lost his job and you're not sure how you're going to make ends meet. And now you have to go out and look for other work. And so there's a lot of really tense conversations that are happening. And you wake up the next morning and you just feel depleted. Spiritually, you're discouraged. Emotionally, you're drained. And even mentally, you really can't take on too much more. We want to encourage you as an admonished mentor to get in the habit of evaluating. It's like a 5-minute activity. You can do it while you're getting ready in the morning, while you're putting on makeup, you're picking out your outfit. It's really just a mental task for you to do a self-evaluation and say, Lord, where am I at today physically? So for example, if I were to wake up this morning, well, I did, but when I woke up this morning, I would say, Lord, how am I doing physically? Well, I had surgery about a week ago, and so in context, I'm doing really well. I don't have pain, I'm able to get around, but it still is kind of tender and sensitive. It's my knee, so it's tender and it's sensitive. I'm really kind of nervous that the dogs don't jump on my leg, and so I would say physically, I'm probably at like a 7. I'm not at my best, but I'm not at my worst. And then I would move on and say, okay, Lord, emotionally, how am I doing? Today, I would rate myself on a scale of 1 to 10. Emotionally, I'm feeling pretty good. My spirits are up. I feel good about my life situation. I feel like I'm accomplishing things for the Lord. So emotionally, nothing's bogging me down. I don't have any anxiety right now. I'm not stressed out about anything. So I would say, wow, emotionally, I'm probably at like a 9. So then you say, Lord, where am I spiritually? Well, you know what? Yesterday, I got in a really bad argument with my husband. I didn't, but I'm saying I got in a really bad argument with my husband, and he makes me feel like I'm a hypocrite, the way he yells at me when we argue. And then, you know what? Satan kind of feeds off that, and you start believing lies, and you have this mental wrestle of wanting to obey and wanting to honor and love and submit to your husband's leadership, but just struggling with the way he treats you and he spoke to you yesterday in the argument. So, you know what? Spiritually, I'm wrestling. So I would say spiritually, Lord, I'm probably only at like a 6 today. And you do that for physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental, the 4 areas, okay? And you evaluate yourself and you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And then what you do from there is you say, okay, Lord, what do I need to do with you today to bump that up a little bit? Now, you're not always going to be at 10 for everything. That's just not fair and not practical. But you are going to ask the Lord to show you and shed light for you on what you can do that day to physically feel a little bit better. So maybe for me, physically, I make the choice to not be on my feet all day because of my knee. So you start to evaluate how you start the day, where you need to invite the Lord into your day in order to bump it up just a little bit more. Does that make sense? So let's say we go back to the mental illustration. And I say, you know what, mentally, I'm just really overwhelmed. I have a lot of anxiety. Lord, show me today what I need to do to take one step closer to feeling better mentally. And you know what? Maybe that's just sitting, putting music on, and having a cup of tea. And that refreshes your mind mentally. It's really just an act of being intentional about our health. That's what we're getting at. We want you to be intentional about your health. And your health isn't just physical. It's emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical. So we want you as our admonished mentors to be intentional about your health. So try to practice the art of every morning for the first 5 minutes, evaluating how you woke up mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and then inviting the Lord to stir in your heart maybe 1 or 2 things you can do that day to bump it up a little bit closer to a 10. Okay? If you have more questions about this, we have a whole training that we offer on this that helps you to take some self-evaluations. We look at ways that God has uniquely created you to connect with Him, to be filled in those areas, and I'd love to chat more about it with you. So feel free to reach out to me if you would like to lean into this just a little bit more. And so that's what H stands for. An admonished mentor is healthy.